Hello and welcome to Third Eye Quantum Healing. My name is Jonathan Myers, and I help take people to past lives and also do quantum healing. And if you're in the area, or maybe you just like me, maybe you want to drive to me, it's up to you. But I do sessions with people. Right now, I'm still doing free ones. I just did one yesterday on my sensei, and that's Lydia in Baton Rouge. Unfortunately, she's moving to Dallas, but I think we had a good enough session to make her feel like the move to Dallas is going to be a great one. And so she's had some questions and everything. So, I mean, it was just an absolutely fantastic session. And her subconscious told me that the message should stay between me and her. Hey, that's my job. I will not tell anybody any of the stories if you don't, if you want to keep them to yourself. That's totally fine. I mean, I understand why some people would want to keep it personal. That's great. I mean, I would say that probably most people want to keep it personal, unless it's like a really cool, past life where, had a session yesterday with the other practitioner, Sam. Hat was like in a past life inside of a dragon's eyeball, but inside of the dragon's eyeball was like all these. It was made of like blue crystals or something like that. Hey, I don't know if that was a past life here on Earth, but who's to say that it couldn't happen somewhere else? I don't know. I mean, I would say that we are very limited in our understanding of the true history. And I'm not talking about recent history. I'm talking about however far back we go, however far that may be. I mean, everybody has their beliefs and all that, but I'm open minded to it. But anyway, yes, these sessions are always a great time, and you always get a lot of great information out of them. And so, if you're interested, like I said, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to have a session with anybody because I understand what these sessions do. I understand what these sessions mean to people. I mean, it is. I mean, you're free to look at it however you want. I mean, I see it as a message from God, a message from the angels, a message from your spirit guides, a message from your ancestors, your loved ones, whoever you think it's from. Maybe it's from them. I mean, who are we to say it's not from them? We can't see on that other side. So leave it up to your own interpretation. A lot of times we get this intuitive feeling like we know where the message is coming from. I know I certainly do. Um, but yeah, these sessions are great. Everybody's having it just really helps people feel a lot better. And it's the best kind of therapy I think that is out there. I will go to the grave saying that because it's not a therapist that's telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't be doing, yada yada. It's you. It is all the way you. If for no other reason to have a past life session, I think it's for the lesson that you give yourself. You know, um, I mean, the best way to get real information like this. I mean, it has to be from you. You can go up to a mystic. You can go up to some kind of guru, some kind of psychic, um, maybe a tarot reader, whatever the case may be. You can go up to all these people, and a little piece of you is thinking, I wouldn't have looked at it that way. You know what I'm saying? But if it's coming directly out of your mouth, yes, you're under hypnosis, but it's not that you're asleep when you're under hypnosis. You are way more awake whenever you go under this kind of hypnosis. Hard word to say. But I feel like that is the real stuff, and out here is the made up world. You know, um, it's it's astonishing. I'll just say that. I mean, don't knock it till you try it. And if you want to try it, please be my guest. I'd be more than happy to help you. But anyway, we're going to get to the point of why I decided to have a show today. And it's, you know, um, sometimes I have a hard time with understanding how the ego works and not giving in to the ego's needs or the body's needs or the mind's needs because, we are not the ego. We're not the mind. We're not the body. They say that in a certain meditation, whenever you meditate, you just repeat this mantra in your mind: I am not the body, I am not even the mind. And that one really speaks to me a lot. But one thing I will say is that they say you are not your ego, right? Like that's just a character that you made up. I get that. I get that. All right. I understand that we design these you know these characters in our mind, and that's me, or that's you, or oh, don't mind, Teresa. That's just what she does. That's the character that we built. Okay. Um, look, I'm perfectly fine with people, you know, sticking to their ego and understanding that they are, the facade that they put up, the character that they make, the avatar that they create. Um, they are, I mean, kind of just these characters, right? But at the same time, that's still us. All right. The character that we are today, the character that we were yesterday, the character we were 5, 10, 20 years ago. Think about all those different characters we created. You know, I know that whenever I was 20, that's not the same character that is present now as I'm 30, turning 31 here in a few days. Um, and you know, I think that all that comes with time. But what is time? I mean, they say that time is just a human construct and it's something that we made up. So, and that's just the kind of the way that we look at it. Like we think that the world and how life is also linear. Well, science says that that's false as well. Time is not linear as we see it. That's just the way our minds perceive of it. If you never heard of that, yeah, that'll tie you up in the brain a little bit. Like, wait, what do you mean it's not linear? Like, there's no such thing as tomorrow. There's no such thing as yesterday. There's only right now. But really, it's all happening at the same time. So there's no such thing as all these things, and that 10 years ago is really happening right now, as the same time as 10 years from now is really happening right now. What a brain twister that could be, right? And that's just that's our minds, that's our brains, that's how we're the only way we're capable of understanding things. And so I think the great thing that you can gather from that there is no time is that just always be your best self. I mean, always be your best self. If you're always your best self, it doesn't matter, if you're thinking 10 years in the future, 10 years in the past. Oh, I wish I would have made that decision, or I wish that I can make that decision now, or I hope that I will make that decision, going from past, present, future. um, I think just always be the best you can. I mean, look, we all have bad days. I mean, that's just, it happens. Maybe you had a bad lunch and it caused you to put you in a bad mood. Maybe you're all lethargic or whatever. Maybe you haven't worked out in a long time. Maybe that's why you're not being in a good mood. Maybe somebody called you a name. I don't know. There's plenty of things that piss us off sometimes and send us into a bad mood. But I think that this goes all the way back to the ego. Okay. Now, if somebody pisses you off, did they piss off your character, or they piss off your soul, your you, the true you? Is that really who they ticked off? That's something to look at too, because think about the first thing that pops into my head is Al Pacino and Scarface, right? Like his ego. Let's say his ego is Scarface, and the real him is Al Pacino. Okay. Now, if you flipped off Al Pacino, he'd probably be like, whatever. I'm rich. Do whatever you want. But if you flipped off Scarface, he's coming after you, and he's not only going to kill you, he's going to kill your whole family in front of you. So these are characters, all right? These are the characters that we create in our mind. And so I think that that's just something to keep in mind and understand. Like, whenever we look at everything, like everything's so petty and everything's so opinionated. And, you don't want to say this because you don't want to hurt those feelings, or you should always take into account everybody's feelings. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But what I'm saying is that who are we really upsetting? Who's really getting upset? Is it these people's egos? Is it who they think they are? Is it it could be any number of things. You take away that kind of mentality, and then once you can remove yourself from your ego. All right, I'm not saying forever. I'm just saying just while we're having this conversation. If you can remove yourself from the ego, then you can look at it just like this. Two things that are going on. Here's ego, here's the true you. And you're looking at them, you're staring at them. There's my there's my true self. You you look at them just like that, and now it's like, okay, that's how great is that that you can look at it and just say, I can separate myself and I can look at these two different things, and how would the true me or the ego me handle this type of situation? Now, you don't want to be too confined to your ego, because that's where we make a lot of bad decisions. That's where, you know, our character makes the bad decisions. The true us, the one with the pure heart, the one with the good intentions, the one that's kind, the one that's loving, that true form of us would not get mad at decisions that this guy gets pissed off at. And so, if we can separate ourselves and just look outside of our body and just look at that, just look at it for a second, man, that alleviates a lot of stress. That alleviates, anybody who wants to say anything negative about you, because they're saying it to that character. They're not saying it to you. Of course, they wouldn't say it to you. You know why they wouldn't say it to you is because the real us, the real me, the real you, the real everybody, we're all here together. We were all once little babies, and we were all once little kids that had to grow up and learn the hard way or the easy way, or whatever the case may be. We all had to go through this job called life. All right. And now, I don't know, maybe you think we came from here. Maybe you think, whatever your religion has shed their light upon you with, whatever you think it is. But I don't know. I think that we're all kind of the same. I mean, there's like this famous quote. One of my favorite people ever, Vince McMahon. I used to be a huge wrestling dork back in the day. I still like to watch wrestling every so often. But everybody's heard of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon just walking all out, strutting his stuff, just acting like his shit don't stink. That's his character, though. He's not really like that in real life. But a famous quote that he said is that, now, I'm never gonna walk around here and act like I'm better than anybody. He purely believed that. He looked at everybody just like they're a real human being, just like he was. Says, I'm not gonna act like that I'm better than anybody. But here's the thing, that where the ego comes in a good way. Okay, the next part of that sentence goes, but I'll be damned if anybody acts like they're better than me or thinks they're better than me. Think about that. He found a way. Just in that one quote, in that one sentence, he's been able to find a way to separate himself and his ego and use them both for the good, right? Be better than anybody. That's the true us. I'll be damned if anybody is going to act like they're better than me. That's the ego coming through in the clutch. So I think that the ego can work. Hey, it's to work for us. The thing is that we need to guide our egos. Once we can separate ourselves, we can guide our egos to, what do we want to be? How do I see myself? How do I want people to look at me? How do I want to look at myself? We can guide it. Do I want to be a bodybuilder? Do I want to be a movie star? Do I want to, be a family man? Do I want to be a loving wife or a loving husband, a great sister? We can be all these things. It's just about guiding our ego. Our ego is the machine here. It is the machine. It's the part. It's the part of us that it's the work mule. We put the ego to work. The ego is not supposed to work us. So, of course, that's easier said than done. But I think that as long as we're open to that way of thinking, we're open to that way of just seeing how life is and how life could be if we just choose to take control of it, we'd be a lot better off. I think that if everybody looked at it like that, I think everybody would we would look at each other in a much more loving way if we did that. If we were able to look at somebody else and just have compassion for them, just be like, look, life sucks sometimes, but you know what? We're in this together. That's just the way I look at it. So you are not the ego. This is going to be the name of this show tonight. You are not the ego, but it's still you. It is still you. The question is that once you separate yourself from the ego, can you change it? Do you have the ability to change the ego and have it used for your betterment, for your for your common good, for the goodness of everybody else's around you as well? Can you separate them and can you morph it into the character you would want to be? Not the character, not the hand that you've been played, not, oh, this has happened to me, so that's who I see myself as. No, no. You now can look at your ego. You can design your ego. You can characterize that character. You can turn it into an avatar. Do it whatever you want. Dress it in pretty makeup. Wear it on nice clothes. Make the hair all nice and beautiful. I've chose to grow out my beautiful, luscious locks on this ego. All right. But you know, I once you find it, you can take control of it. And that's something that I've recently stumbled across the thought of, the idea of, and that's why I wanted to have this show tonight is because, there's a lot of things that I want to change about myself. I think a lot of people have a lot of things that they'd like to change about themselves. I know I'm not the only one out there. So let's be stronger than the ego. The ego works for us. The ego works for us. It's not our master, okay? It's not our owner. It's nothing like that. We we are in control of the ego. Once we become control of the ego, once we can say, all right, look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stick to it. The real you has to really be in control. The real you has to be the master to that ego. All right. And anyway, yeah, just want to throw that little tidbit of information out for anybody who may be interested. I love having these kinds of conversations. Not really a conversation. I'm kind of talking to myself, but I'm talking to you guys as well. So if anybody, look, I'm open to having people on the show. We can talk deep about all this stuff. I know I enjoy these kinds of talks, understanding the ego, understanding the mind, understanding the conscious and the subconscious, and talking about what happens in these sessions that is so mind blowing. That is so there's no words that you can put on it. Right? It is such a just an absolute beautiful thing, and the information that you can get from that, and whenever it's you're speaking to, it's just your pure subconscious, your pure higher self. It is the most pure form of you. I think once we talk to that, I think that you'll be able to do like I said, and separate ego from self, separate ego from the true you, and we'll try and see if we can always have your higher self be guiding you and to always be your higher self, to always do the right thing, what you think is right, what you always know deep down is right. That thing that happens in the pit of your stomach. Oh, I shouldn't do this. Oh, I should do that. To start listening to that. All right? Because the only person you're rebelling against whenever you go against that feeling is yourself. That's the only person. That's the cold hard truth. You're not rebelling against your parents. You're not rebelling against your friends. You're not rebelling against your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever the case may be. You're rebelling against yourself whenever you go against that deep feeling. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a QHHT session with you. Go to a past life, speak to your higher self, see if we can get some quantum healing done. I'm all about that stuff. So please reach out to me. My name's Jonathan Myers. You can search me on all social media platforms. And yeah, that was Third Eye Quantum Healing. And good stuff. Good stuff. You are not the ego, but it's still you.